My dad only had a standard 4, but he was very, very smart at school. But because of his parents, his dad, my grandfather was so sick he couldn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He had to go and work and look after his siblings and his parents.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to drop off at grade 4, which is standard 4 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom never had a chance to go to school at all because when my grandmother got married to my grandfather, which is my mother's dad, was in Joburg. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't actually work out. And then uh, my mother's mom decided to come back to the farms, and unfortunately, she never went to school. And my
Yeah.
mom at that time was still a baby, and she actually grew up not going to school at all. She never had a chance. I think she told me that she only went to grade 2, and that's all.
Sure.
Yeah, but
But
on my
that is not an anomaly that much, considering the times they were living in.
Yeah,
To
well,
live.
I do understand at that time because there was a lot of apartheid
Mm,
times and all that.
mm,
But on our times, I decided no, because of friends, you get influenced into a lot of bad things. We come from different families. Other families, they actually well off. Some of us come from poor family like myself, and then I came back to my senses to say, hey, these guys come from good families. I don't
mm,
come from good families. Even if they don't drop off from school, they still be fine. I'm
mm,
going to have a problem at the end of the day,
mm.
So
So
I,
you actually did you get to your matric?
I got to my matric.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I passed my matric very well
Okay.
too as well. So yeah,
Okay.
but what really helped me a lot is that, as I said earlier on, I had to change the school. I went to a different school. The school that I was into, things were just not really good at all. I was so close into dropping out, and I decided
Mm,
to rather leave and go change the school and go to a different
sure.
school. So
Is
that's
it
where.
because, like, sort of the troubles that you face today had started then already, or?
Yeah. We started having a lot of trouble. We as a multiracial school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say it's racist or something, but I'll put it that way. It is a colored school, but there was a lot of schools in town, and we also have sections too, where there's Indian sections, colored section, white section. Every time when it's sports or functions, school functions, we meet together, we always start fights. When we started not getting along with certain sections, especially when we meet up in town, big
Mm,
fights, gang fighting. We started actually having gangs. Um, so things were just not really good at all. We would stay out of school for almost a week because of these gang fights and all
yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff. And then my parents didn't actually like that.
Yeah.
I once got into trouble and I got a good hiding. My dad decided to want to write me off, and I
Sure.
didn't actually want to disappoint my parents at that
Mm,
time. I decided to quit all that gang thing and just go somewhere else where I'd start a new life and carry on with school. So
yeah.
that really worked for me because I got a matric actually with that.
Okay.
Mm.
So here in high school, involved in this gang activity, and influence of your peers, essentially.
Yeah,
Are you guys smoking cigarettes, smoking
yeah,
weed, drinking?
yeah. We were drinking, we were smoking cigarettes, we were smoking weed. As I was saying that, once you get into high school, you get influenced into a lot of things and stuff like that. Yeah, we used to do naughty stuff actually at that
Mm,
time. It was not really good at all.
yeah,
Sometimes I actually regretted at the stage that
yeah,
maybe maybe if my parents were much well off, if I went to a better school, maybe things would have been good. I wouldn't actually have learned all these things. But yeah, we were drinking a lot, smoking weed a lot. That
mm,
was the whole uh, mess up. I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Around what grade did this start?
It actually started in grade 10.
Grade 10.
Yeah, grade 8, everything was fine. Grade 9, that's when you start opening your eyes and seeing all the big boys now, grade 10, you start joining the crew,
Mm,
you know. So yeah, it all started in grade 10, basically.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And so, what age would you say? Maybe not what age. At what stage did it graduate from a lot of weed, maybe drinking here and there, to actually like hard stuff?
To be honest with you, from grade 9,
Mm-hmm.
let me just not say grade 9. Yeah, well, let me just put it this way. Christmas time, school holidays, we do had our times too, and stuff like that. But from grade 9, basically late grade 9, that's
Mm-hmm.
the time where, it all actually started. And grade 10, that's where, yeah, things started cooking up, like for real, when we started moving with the big boys,
Mm.
in the gang and stuff like that. Hey, we started getting into a lot of trouble
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah, it didn't actually take long because I realized so quick that what was happening is just really out of hand.
Mm.
It took about a year and a half, and then I decided to quit. I'd done my grade 11 and 12 somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you start getting into um, the harder stuff, what do you start with? How is that idea sparked, or how do you actually fall into it at
Uh,
that
you
late
know,
grade 9?
it all started basically when we were having those birthday parties, or when somebody's having a birthday and maybe we're gonna have some night outs and stuff like that.
Mm.
And that's how we start learning all these things here, because mm, it's only us. There's no there's no one to guide us to do it. We're just on our own.
Yeah.
So it all started there, and from then also, uh, with farewells too. We used to have our own farewells each and every year to the next grade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in most cases, yeah, during the parties that we,
Parties, eh?
we used to have, yeah,
Mm.
a lot of things
Okay.
actually
So
started.
because this is somewhat not of a unique story in terms of, oh, I'm just gonna take the stuff today because it's a party and we're having a good time, and then, oh, following party, oh, I'm just gonna. But when does it graduate from just being, we're taking off because it's a party, to now we're actually consistently taking the stuff?
Um,
And what is it you were taking at that time?
okay, it was just cigarettes and weed
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I never stopped since
Sure.
that time. So, but doing wrong things, I stopped. But smoking cigarettes and weed,
Mm-hmm.
I used to drink a lot at that time. It never stopped
Mm-hmm.
up until today.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't know about that,
Yeah.
but my mom, she ended up knowing about it because my dad actually passed on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Condolences.
yeah, I didn't actually want my dad. He was a very strict person. So, but
Mm-hmm.
from there, actually, it started slowly
Yeah.
up until to date,
Yeah.
actually. And um, I don't know if I could explain up until how do I got here and stuff
Sure.
like
Sure. You can go
that.
ahead.
Yeah, well, after school, basically, things were so it was so intense. Like things they didn't go really well because after my dad passed on,
So did you move back home after school?
yes, yes, I
Okay.
moved back home after school.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with that year is the very same year when I lost my dad.
Okay.
Um,